Hey, David T.S. Wood here, and welcome to My Extra Mile. This is a solo show. Yes, I'm behind the wheel of my car again. For those of you that can't watch while I'm driving, I wanted to talk about haters. I keep hearing this term, haters, silence the haters. And if you listen to this show today, you're going to find out there is no such thing as haters. And once we get right with that, your world will completely transform, right? Because if you're going to walk around with that label when someone disagrees with you or someone has an opposing opinion or when someone types something, you watch how many times you do this. You read a text and you add the intonation. So someone can say, have a lovely day. And you go, have a lovely day, right? So the idea that we add intonation. So how do you silence the haters? Guess what? We have to reframe the word. So enjoy my solo show and don't forget to please subscribe. And if you push the notification button, you'll know when the new show comes and you can listen to it. Don't forget to comment, get involved with the conversation, get involved with our community, and I'll definitely see you on the other side. Hey, David T.S. Wood here, and welcome to My Extra Mile. It's interesting, isn't it? I keep hearing people, especially younger people, to be honest, but I hear a lot about haters. My haters, I see T-shirts with haters and quotes with haters, and I've always struggled to understand what people are talking about. Haters. And I suppose maybe I have a I have a extreme dislike for the word hate. I mean, I have a bit of a potty mouth, and I certainly have an uncensored way of living life. But the word hate to me, I don't know, it just something about it, the energy of it, I just don't like it. And attempt not to use the word. So here I am going to use it a lot right now. By the way, just to answer one question. People keep asking me, what kind of car do you have? It looks like you've got this, it's a Range Rover, in case you're wondering. Maybe I should do a whole thing on cars because I have a whole philosophy on cars. But anyway, that's off the point. Let's get back to haters. And the reason this came up, I was talking to a friend of mine, and Zach Slobin is his name. And I was sharing about this philosophy. And as I shared it, I had never shared it before. It just came out. This is most of the things that I share are things that I just do, or it's just a behavior I have, or a way I start to live, or whatever it is, and then I share it. I don't share things I read in books. Anyway, so after I shared it, I thought, say it like a man. So after I shared it, I just wrote down the word haters, and I texted Denise. I said, remind me to do a show on haters. Because this is kind of what I shared in a nutshell. I said, for example, this is how I kind of understood what a hater was, or what I thought people meant. A number of times. It doesn't happen very often to me because I'm not very controversial in the sense that I don't post on politics, or I don't post on things that, things like that where it's polarizing. I mean, not because I'm afraid to post on it, it's just I don't really have opinions on it, so it's not something I want to waste my energy on because I don't have a strong opinion on those things, I mean, I don't run for office. I understand once you do that and you're in the public eye, everything you do is scrutinized 24/7. Regardless of what I think of someone, I don't have the courage to live that life in the public domain constantly. It's not a life I want. So I don't judge how or what they're doing, especially when it's filtered through a media. See, I said I wouldn't do it, and I'm doing it already. So I'm going to stop that already. So let's go back to haters. So I had recently someone, I did a show where it says normal sucks, and I took a photograph of me with a mask on where I drew a face on the mask, but I had it just under my nose. And one woman took it upon herself to hopefully you're listening, I hope you're listening, and she just, the comment was, wear your effing mask, except it wasn't effing, so I don't want to swear because I know a lot of kids listen to this, but I'm like, oh, really? And it sort of sat with me for a second, and my initial response was to delete her. And then I thought, wow, okay. So what do I do about that? So I basically, again, resistance always equals pain. Before I tell you what I did with her, I had another guy, and this has happened a number of times, right? Where someone is so angry about, and so they're in the post and they're just puking out their vomit on the post. And what I could tell by the woman, by the way, was that she hadn't read the post. If she'd read the post, she'd have understood that I was standing in my garden, right? And that I had written about, a philosophy on the new normal. That was it. And it was a very, very popular show. Lots of people gave me, gave a lot of food for thought. And so I realized, she hadn't read the post, and she just saw a picture like most people. I mean, that's what, if I'm being honest, pisses me off about the way I do social media is I typically write stories that are meaningful to me. And I understand that's not, I'm not trying to build a following. I mean, imagine I've trained over 1 million people. I should have millions of followers, but I don't care about it in that way. I don't want to be an influencer, but I appreciate people are, right? But what pisses me off is people don't read stuff. They just look at the photo and this is what this woman had obviously done. But this other guy was just angry and just attacked, and when he attacked, again, I'm given a decision. And this is when I realized, this is what people mean by a hater. It's somebody that has a contrary view or is willing to express their view in a more than or maybe an angry way, or appears that way. Because remember, one of the things I say is one of the hardest ways to communicate is through a text or through an email, because once you push that button and it goes out into the ether and arrives in someone's inbox, the interpretation of that text is now down to the reader, right? So in other words, I may have said, and people do this all the time, they'll say, she said, is that what you want? And they'll add the intonation, they'll add the voice, they'll add the as if they read something, and they'll add all of that color, all of that what's the word, so that I see it all the time. People will say, I can't believe it, this woman just texted me and she said that. And I said, is that exactly what she said? That. Are you sure she didn't go da 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 or boop 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 boop? I mean, you're the one putting that in there. If I read it, I could read it 12 different ways, but I'm choosing to read it and add the negativity to it or the intonation to it, right? So here I am, I'm with this post, and again, going back to my philosophy of all resistance equals pain, right? So if I resist this guy, I'm in pain. I'm like, what a hater. Oh, a hater. He hates me, right? As opposed to, hey, this guy has an opinion. Maybe he doesn't understand me. So I took the time to reply to him, and I was like, hey, Jim. And I said, first of all, I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate that you have the courage to write what you think. I said, but I'd just like to take a moment and explain something. I know you don't know me, and I want to share. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Going around that corner. Okay, I was going to share, my intention for this. Why what this is about for me, just so you understand it. So I took a moment, and I didn't go into justification. That's not what I did. Justifying is like, it wasn't like that. It was just, buddy, I get what you said. I'm going to share exactly what this means to me, and I told him, I said, look, and I think that once you understand that, you'll realize that what you said is completely, not, it's just not correct. However, I appreciate your courage. Almost immediately, he texted, or he posted and commented back to the comment, said, sorry, man. And this is exactly what he said. I'm sure you're a really great person. I'm just having a bad day. Right? And I texted back, said, hey, but, he says, and I understand if you delete me. And I commented right back, and I said, buddy, I have no intention of deleting you whatsoever. Zero. I just appreciate, I don't want everyone to be in my social media in agreement with what I say and do. I said, so you're welcome and thank you. And then I saw not lots, but I've noticed comments since then where he has commented, now reading the post, or so, ostensibly that was a hater, right? I mean, especially if you'd read his initial comment was, pretty, I could have read it. But remember, I get to choose how I read it. I could have read it 9 different ways. Same with this woman, I just said, hey, you know what? I just appreciate, if you want to swear, please don't swear on my wall. Swear on your own wall. And I said, I'm guessing you didn't read the post, right? Because if you'd read the post, you'd have realized that what you're saying makes no sense. So again, maybe next time just read the post, especially if you're going to be crude or rude or angry on a comment. And I just told her the truth. I didn't take on the energy, I have a hater. It's not a hater. Guess this is what my point is. I'm almost at the gym. I'm just driving to the gym. All right. My point is this. That says more about her than me. That says more about him than me. That they are projecting their own hurt, their own anger, their own frustration, their own limited thinking. They're projecting their own, the stuff that's going inside them. You can't project outwards. If you're having a beautiful moment, let's say that you saw the same post, you saw this, me with a mask on but not wearing it properly, right? You're having a beautiful day, beautiful thoughts. You may even say, hey, Dave, just to be safe, maybe you should wear your mask properly. Different energy, right? But yet still people could read that, because I could say, hey, Dave, just to get your facts right, wear your mask properly. I could add that intonation, couldn't I? Or I could add the intonation, hey, just letting you know, da-da-da-da-da, right? So what I realize is that when somebody is puking, do I have the option of deleting them? Absolutely. Do I want to delete them? No, because they're just going to go piss somebody else off and get angry with somebody else and or puke their guts out. So I have a chance. Now, look, I'm not saying that if that happened and the guy or the person was completely unreasonable and was rude or crude on a regular basis after I'd engaged with them, would I delete them or block them? Yeah, of course. But I don't feel that need to go blocking someone, just because they have a contrary opinion to me. That is not something I feel. But I also feel a responsibility to, if I'm going to put something in a public domain, and I know it doesn't feel good. I tell you what, when I first, I'm backing up. So when I first started training, and I'm talking about on stage, I remember the feeling, because we used to do comment sheets, and I remember the feeling of looking through all the comment sheets and looking for the good. This is when I first started out, it's my sort of like, I was looking for validation. I didn't realize I was. And then I'd see the negative ones. And because not everyone liked me. Not everyone liked my style or what I said, and some people didn't like me at all. And I remember, not wanting them to be seen by other people or guarding that. And then, again, as I grew up, and again, we're not talking about that long ago, and I'm still not fully grown, right? So, this whole idea of haters, I don't think there's such a thing. There's not a hater. If somebody really hates you, and you know who they are, right? DM them and just say, hey, I just want to reach out to you and ask the question. Sometimes you're commenting and I can see that you're, some of the stuff you're saying. You could do that if you wanted, or don't waste your time, but don't be afraid of it, and don't make it about haters and about, that. Make it about, hey, people are, but I would comment. I mean, if someone's going to write a hateful post or a hateful comment, right? And it's hateful, let's say, that's your interpretation, not mine. If I say it's just, that woman, for example, with the mask, wear your effing mask, I could just imagine how miserable her world was, really. And you know what I did? I took a moment to go look at her Instagram, and I could see, there's very few followers. I looked through about 10 of her posts, and they're all quite negative. What does it tell me? It doesn't tell me she's a hater. It tells me that she's a lonely, angry, withdrawn human being. And me as someone who, especially doing what I do, but just being another human being, right? Maybe a kindness has more power than we can think. Because if I just fan the flame of her hatred and I do what she's kind of wanting, by, some people get into that, by getting into fights. Because you remember with a kid, I mean, I grew up in a let's say, beatings was a regular sport, let's say. But sometimes kids interpret that, as love, right? It doesn't mean that, it's always beautiful and kind, but sometimes, a good beating is like love. It's easy to interpret. And some of these people, I think they just, their engagement through anger or whatever is they're just some kind of attention. So, and I think that this person was incredibly lonely, to be honest. And so I do that. I do take a moment, when I see that anger or see that, what you may call a hater, I just call it someone who's really hurting. So, and do I have the capacity and the strength and the courage to be bigger than that and not react like the guy that says, I understand if you delete me. And it's like, I'm not going to delete you. No way. And then immediately I did that, the resistance. So there's resistance, I step in, boom, and it looks more like a handshake, right? And this man from one comment went from being angry to being apologetic. And I'm not saying that's going to work every time, but it's better than walking through life saying, my haters, really? You think people wake up in the morning and hate you? You think that's what they're doing? Now, I'm not saying you haven't pissed a few people off or upset a couple of people. If that's the case, I bet they're on one hand. If there's more than that, if there's a whole tribe of them, maybe look at what you're doing. If there's thousands of them, maybe it's you. Maybe just look in the mirror and say, what am I projecting out to get so much of this negativity back, right? Because that's the other thing, is taking responsibility. Sometimes I read a post that I've written and I realize that just by sloppiness, that's why I take so much time to write posts, sloppiness, or assumptions. Assumptions are really big, assuming something. So I try and think about who's reading this and what will they feel when they read this. That's when I post. I don't post because why don't I just keep my thoughts to myself and just chat to my friends? Why are we posting? What's that all about? Why are we making public our thoughts? And if we're going to make public our thoughts, then put up with the people that don't agree with them. Just accept that's part of the territory. Or keep the frickin' things to yourself. But don't walk around with this label, oh, my haters. Because I don't believe there's such a thing. I really don't. I can only think of three people in my entire life that I kind of really dislike. And even those, two of them I've spoken to. One of them I can't speak to anymore because they've passed away. But, regardless, just you look in the mirror, and understand that either someone's projecting or you're projecting. But, when you step in, remember my last words, resistance always equals pain. And if there's pain, or if you're interpreting something as hatred, then there's resistance there in some form. They're resisting you, you're resisting them. But turning it into a label of haters, well, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one, because I don't live in a world full of haters, and nor do you. But if I choose to, I could think that woman's a hater and that guy's a hater and the dozens of other people that have had contrary views to me, or maybe not as eloquent, or when they write their response, maybe I'm reading it with the intention of making it that. If I was to sit and think, what other intention could I read with? Oh, Dave, just saying, wear your effing mask. God, wear your effing mask. I could put that energy to it too, right? Right? I mean, because I grew up in England where sarcasm and using the F word was quite a gentle thing. It doesn't, if you didn't use an F word with someone or a profanity, you weren't really chatting to them, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'm about to go and sweat myself into a very, very big lather, and I'll definitely see you on the other side.